Welcome back. It's the conversation on Morning Spring, and for today, we are moving to the treasure base of the nation, River State. In taking governance to the people at the grassroots, local government elections were conducted in River State, 23 local governments, and the results are out with the new governor's proxy party, if we should put it that way, the All People's Party, APP, Action People's Party. Thank you, Femi. APP sweeping through 22 out of 23 of those seats, leaving one for the Action Alliance, AA. To take on that particular governorship, local government seat. And for the councillorship seats, we had 314 seats won by the APP out of 319. It was a heightened tension in the state, but it was kind of devoid of violence. Actually, we heard of some bomb blasts, some gunshots, but the people went to the polls, they participated in the election, and the results were out. But in a rather quick event, we had the 23 local government chairmen sworn in by the River State Governor Similala Ifibara on Sunday at the Executive Council chamber of the Government House in Port Harcourt, the state capital. This was hours after the chairmen were issued their certificates of return by the chairman of the River State Independent Electoral Commission, Adolphus Enebeli. To help us make sense and also understand what went down over the weekend in River State, we are joined virtually by Olalekan Ige. He is a journalist who was on ground and covered most of the activities that went down. Mr. Ige, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. So let's just get right into it very quickly. Tell us, how did the weekend go in Port Harcourt or in River State generally, the elections that took place? What actually went down? Just give us an overview of what went down as one who was on ground for the elections.
Yeah, I would rather say it was an anticlimax. Anticlimax in the sense that if you look at what had happened 2, 3, 4, 5 days before the election, then you understand why I'm saying it's an anticlimax. The election went on peacefully. Out of the 23 local government areas in River State, I think I've covered about 6. So it was generally peaceful. Maybe it was generally peaceful because PDP and APC didn't participate in the election. So
They
you
did
say,
not
look, there wasn't much
participate.
of. Yes, APC and PDP opted not to participate in the election for reasons best known to them. So that left just about 18 political parties participating in that election on Saturday. And APP won 22, Action Alliance won, and one of the local governments. So you understand that it's an anticlimax. Peaceful election, generally peaceful. I'll say about 95% peaceful, save for 1 or 2, 3, 4 things where we had some untoward activities. But then it was generally peaceful.
All right. So when you said that the APC did not participate in that election, we have a report that actually states that for the councillorship election, that APC won one of the wards.
Now, the contest before the local government election was that APC had been polarized in the state. There is a chairman of APC recognized by the National Working Committee, which is led by Tony Okota. Then there's another one that had gone to court to challenge why they were removed as a state executive, which is Chief Emeka Beke. Eventually, the court now said, look, they were illegally removed from office and they should return to the office, and that their tenure is guaranteed till 2025 when fresh election would take place. So one faction of APC, in this case now I should say, took part in the election, which is Emeka Beke, while the party recognized by the National Working Committee didn't take part in the election.
Okay. Are you still with us?
Hello?
Are you still with us, please?
Yes, I'm still with you. Yes,
okay,
sure.
You're done with your thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Now, let's speak to, you said it was largely peaceful, especially in the areas that you covered, covered as a journalist. But what about the issue of security before that election? I love the fact that you said that the election was anticlimax. You know, looking at the events, activities before the elections, people that thought that it was going to be a bloodbath in River State. There was going to be violence in River State, but like you said, anticlimax, it was largely peaceful. Were the police on ground to give security, or it was just the people going to the polls to vote without any security from the police?
There was absolutely no security from the police. Every of the police unit, every of the ward, every of the local government across the 23 local government areas had no police presence anywhere. In fact, there were no policemen on the road anywhere. The only form of security that you had in some few areas were from the National Nigeria Civil Security and Defense Corps. Those were just the few handful of security people you had in some areas. Otherwise, there were no policemen anywhere near any polling unit, any ward, or they were not even on the road. I moved from Port Harcourt to Obiakpo, to Element, to Oyibo, to Emoa local government, to Ikwere local government. There were no policemen on the road.
Olalekan, there were also reports that some polls or some locations, voting ended very early as 12 noon. And also in some locations, the police came there to stop voting and stop them from carrying on with the exercise. I'd like you to confirm or debunk that.
Yeah, true. We had cases of some areas where some policemen went there and disrupted the process, went away with the ballot boxes.
The policemen went away with the ballot boxes.
Exactly. I think those areas were polling units of known, should I say, political opponents of the governor, and who didn't want election to take place in their own unit. So we had some policemen went there and went away with the ballot papers, the electoral materials, and all of that.
So in some areas, you saying voting, it was the policemen that were doing the job of those people we call thugs, political thugs?
In this case, at least we have verified pictures of what took place and even video.
And what did the people do?
In some areas. No, I think that nobody wanted trouble. It makes no sense challenging a policeman carrying gun. So the wise thing to do when you say policeman carrying gun is to just allow him have his way.
Amazing that the police officers were used as political thugs, as you have said this morning, carrying yes. ballot boxes and carrying electoral materials. Femi.
Yes.
Yeah. Olalekan, talk to me. Let me start from here. Some might say, are there really police officers or thugs, impersonators, who have gone ahead to put on police uniforms? Because these things happen. We've seen thugs and political, some of their supporters go to get military camouflage and insignia just to do whatever they want to do on election day. So are we sure they are really officers?
Well, as at this morning, the police command of Rivers State had not come out to debunk or had not come out to deny that they were not their officers. And if they have not done that, then you could easily decipher as to where you should be tilting towards to. Because in this case, the police cannot sit on the fence and say, we don't know them. You need to issue a formal statement. And so with no formal statement from the police, they tended to believe that they were genuine policemen.
Yeah, and, there were a series of explosions, quote-unquote explosions. First, it was 2 months ago in August, the party secretariat of the APP, many persons were wondering, APP, how? That's a relatively, quote-unquote, small party, when we're talking about the bigger parties in that particular state, and it was bombed, but later it became clearer because some supporters or contestants in that election who couldn't find tickets in the PDP went to the APP, so it became clearer. On the day of the election, early, there was a report of another explosion at the APC secretariat, especially the faction led by Tony Okocha, and these are some of the issues. We spoke to a critical stakeholder, on the eve of that election to say the police are standing down. They are saying they are obeying the court judgment that says They should not provide cover. So how can they go ahead, to have an election? Wouldn't they be putting people in danger? That individual told us there is nothing to worry about. If everybody will be peaceful, there will be no need for police. But at the end of the day, we learned, you have said it was relatively and largely peaceful, but there were skirmishes, gunshots, and these are some of the things. So will you say the skirmishes, pockets of violence that happened, it was quite negligible and is not really a dent, on the process of that election?
Yeah, given the history of Rivers State, I would rather say this is the most peaceful election since 1999. I've been staying in Port Harcourt since the 1990. 90, I think I've been staying in Port Harcourt 97 since 1997. And I would rather say that this is the most peaceful election in the history of the state. The explosion where that the APC secretariat of the faction loyal to Tony Okocha, in fact, on that day, there was another explosion at the, at the gate of Obiakpo local government secretariat. So there were 2 explosions on that morning. The police has issued a statement and that they were going to investigate the circumstances that led to those explosions and bring the perpetrators to book. To me, these are very negligible if you consider the history of Rivers State. Since 1999, Rivers State has always been a flashpoint. It has always been marked red for every general election. And for the first time, you've had people go out peacefully, no police. I think this must be the best election in the history of Rivers State. Maybe we are saying this because PDP, which is the major political party in Rivers State, didn't participate. So there wasn't much of contest, really. You understand, on the part of APP and maybe a few other parties that won councillorship elections. So on the large scale, if you ask me to score it, I will score the election 9/10.
All right. You said something, and it was expected because the police said they were going to stand down. And you said, in fact, they did exactly that. And they were not even on the road. But before the election, the police said, yes, we are not going to cover the election. And in fact, at some point, we learned maybe a day before that some detachments of some police from a neighboring state came into that particular state, went to the RCX to disrupt, the process of maybe sharing of sensitive and non-sensitive materials. And the governor had to come there. But at the end of the day, the Rivers State Police Command said, yes, we are not covering the election, but we are going to still go ahead and do our lawful duty of protecting lives and properties of the people. But it's quite, shocking to learn that they were even nowhere to be found. If you are not going to cover elections, why did you leave the road? Why were your men nowhere to be found? What did you think happened? What did you see that coming? Or you just feel the police obeyed strictly the judgment of the court that said you should not provide protection, especially for that election, because they were not even on the street, so anything could have happened.
By staying off the road. But I must add that they were present at the general area of the Rivers State of Independent Electoral Commission. The whole place was actually barricaded by police to put the place under protection, because there were protests and counter protests right in front of the office of the Independent Electoral Commission. So there were those that protested in favor of the former minister of the, former governor of the state, now Minister of FCT, Jason Wike, and of course there were also those who also protested.
When you say Independent Electoral Commission, do you mean RCEC or INEC?
Yes, Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. Of course, so there were protests there just a day before the election. You had protests as a support of the former governor and now Minister of FCT, Jason Wike, protesting in front of the place. Much later in the day, and on the morning of the election, you had protesters in favor of the governor who also occupied the frontage of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. So you had police presence on ground before, during, and after. Even as of yesterday, there were still 1 or 2 vehicles of police right in front of the office of RIFEC, I think just to ensure that the place is well protected.
All right, quick
one. And another thing, another is that, remember, when the governor of the state set up caretaker committees, there were protests by those in favor of the former governor too, which led to the police to cordon off the entire local government secretariat in Rivers State. That money, the word out there is that the police have vacated the local government councils. There is even a formal statement from the Rivers State Police Command stating that they had withdrawn their men from cordoning off the local government secretariats in Rivers State.
Yeah. Very quick one. Now, you are a resident, apart from being a journalist, and you have covered events in the state, political events, elections for years. Now, before this election, what would you say was the body language of the people? You know, did it look like what they really wanted? And I'm talking about we, being the mirror of the society now. What was the force of the people? Were they expecting this? Or is just the bigger guys trying to use the election? Of course, they will obey the court, Supreme Court judgment that says no local government will be entitled to ends. I mean, moving forward without having a democratically elected leader. That's number one. But, you know, there's the place of scoring political points, who holds the structure in that particular state as well. But from the point of the residents, the people in Rivers State, was that election what they were waiting for? Did it show they are yearning to truly have, you know, democratically elected leaders? And on the day of the election, did that show in people trooping out to cast their vote?
I think it's a combination of all. You could talk about structure, you could talk about the Supreme Court judgment, and of course you can talk about the enthusiasm on the part of the people. You can put all of them together. Remember, the people too, let me say a sizable number, have political affiliations. So there are those who are in support of the governor, who wanted local government election to take place. There are those who are in favor of the former governor, who felt that the governor is now trying to dismantle the structure of their leader. Then the governor was also conscious of the fact that they had till October 15 to conduct local government election based on the agreement with the presidency after that Supreme Court judgment. Then, of course, look at the larger picture of Rivers people who also wanted to move on with their lives and allow local government election to take place. Remember, for the 3 months of the caretaker committees, the council secretaries were shut down, meaning the livelihoods of a lot of people were also shut down. People couldn't access the council secretariat, workers couldn't go to work, and all of that. So when you put all of this together, you can say, look, it is what they wanted, and that is what has not happened. But don't think that this is the end. I'm sure there'll be challenges. There'll be challenges to the decision of what has happened so far.
All right, Olalekan, let me take you back to the police issue. As a journalist, how do you react to the fact that the court judgment that ordered the police to stand down for a sensitive activity or a sensitive event like election in this country? A lot of people have thrown in their own submissions, their own positions on the matter. The NBA actually talked about the fact that the police stand stating that their constitutional responsibility to protect lives, property, and the democratic process cannot be abrogated by any court order. A lot of people think that this court judgment asking the police to step aside for an event as this undermines our democracy. How do you react to all of this?
Yeah, I agree completely with those who say police staying away undermines our democracy. Let me also add that there's actually a court judgment from a Rivers State High Court mandating the police to, as a matter of fact, to be part of that election. There's a judgment just before that Federal High Court judgment.
So we have conflicting judgments.
Of course, I'm trying to remember the name of the judge now, who had given a judgment mandating the police and all other security agencies to ensure that they were part of that election. There's a Rivers State High Court judgment before the Federal High Court judgment. So I don't know why police chose to obey the Federal High Court judgment, and that is not good for the image of the police at all. It's not good for their image at all.
So do you think that the police is taking a stance, or it's been partisan in this issue?
Yes, I would say yes. If you look at the circumstances that led to why we had this election. Remember, I said the police had barricaded the secretariats of all the local government in Rivers State. Of course, police did issue a statement and said, look, we are doing this just to protect these facilities because the supporters of the governor and the supporters of the former governor may likely clash, and this could lead to maybe loss of lives, maybe burning down properties and all of that. But after some time, the situation simmered, and you expect that police will have appraised the situation and probably allowed the councils to just open. So you understand why a lot of people now feel, look, the police is being partisan. But I'm happy to say that this morning, police has issued a statement. They were vacating the premises of all the council secretariats in Rivers State following the successful conduct of the election last Saturday.
Okay, in a rather swift, turn of event. I mean, it might be the fastest we've had in Nigeria as a whole. We had the swearing in of the elected officials, the 23 chairman by the governor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, yesterday. I mean, a lot of people have been asking why the rush. They were even sworn in on a day that is considered a non-working day. As someone who is on ground, why would you say that is?
To me, I'm not in any way surprised. It's not happening for the first time. If we check the history of local government elections in Nigeria. And let me quickly add that the tenure of the past elected council chairman expired on the 17th of June. So you begin to understand why elections have to take place. And of course, there were issued certificates of return. And the prerogative to swear in the newly elected chairman is given to the governor. So unfortunately, or should I say in this case, you cannot question how the governor is using his prerogative because that is what you have donated to him. So he can choose to use it at any time he likes. That's the funny thing about prerogative, because it's a right now that has been given to him. There is no law within the Rivers State local government law or the Rivers State independent electoral law that stated when the people, the newly elected council chairman should be sworn in. So in this case, the governor has exercised his prerogative, and it's difficult to question how he has used it.
Okay, so now we have the local government chairman substantive, 23 of them in Rivers State.
Yes.
Okay, and stemming from all of this, do you see litigations arising, especially from other political parties, whether that participated or did not participate? Earlier on, you said that the APC did not participate in this election, and the PDP. So do you see series of litigation stemming out of this?
So it will be difficult for the Tony Okocha-led faction of APC and PDP to challenge the outcome of the election. They didn't participate, so they've lost the right to question the propriety or impropriety of an election they didn't participate in. So the political parties that will be open to challenge the electoral process will be AA, APP itself, SDP, Boot Party, YPP, Labour Party, and all the remaining political parties that participated in the election are the ones that now have the right to challenge the outcome of this election. The Rivers State Independent Electoral Law already says that as soon as the election is conducted, the chief judge of the state will set up a tribunal to look at issues arising from that election. So we'll wait until the chief judge sets up the tribunal and wait for parties that participated in the election to challenge the results they feel has not been well conducted.
All right. Quite an interesting one, because for many persons and political watchers, they have been thinking what is really going on. Many persons want to put one and one together to say election happened on Saturday, swearing was done yesterday, certificates of return were already being issued. By the way, at the declaration by, the RCEC chairman, Justice Adolfo Zenebeli, retired, where he did what he has to do as the chief returning officer of that election. We allow you to just have a hang, of what happened there. Just an excerpt of what happened at the announcement of the winners of the election. So, Olalekan, please hang in there. We'll be with you shortly.
Election of the councillorship elections in the 319 West. Let me firstly declare the result of the chairmanship election result for Eche local government council, which was stood down from yesterday to this day to await complete and correct collation of results from the team of recent officials. From the concluded collation of results for the Eche local government area, and after a discreet introspection and with the demands of impartiality and inspired by the principle of electoral justice by this commission, we hereby declare the party and candidate that scored majority of the valid and lawful votes of 10 of the votes cast in 19 West in the Eche local government area of River State. And that result is a distinguished exception from previous narratives over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of that election in the Eche local government area just a moment. The local government council election in a chief local government area.
All right. Olalekan, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you, please.
All right. Very quickly, let me put this there. For many persons, yes, the process of the law, the process of the election, constitutional obligations of having democratically elected leaders, and all of this. But the way everything has gone right now in River State, the speed, when the police said they were not going to provide cover, the state government feel like whatever they want, let them do. We are going ahead with this. I told you we talked with an aide of the governor last week who said if the police will not turn up, they have neighborhood watch, they have many persons to help them in the election. They were sure, and now we have 22. Sorry, they have 22 chairmanship positions, talking about the APP. The way some of the loyalists of the governors left the PDP for the APP, and they have almost 99% of the seats right now. Do you see all of these? I'm just asking, as a grand plan, everything was etched out. They were just waiting for the days to come, and now we have arrived here.
Well, sadly so. I agree with you. But then also look at the local government elections across Nigeria. They are usually won by parties where the governors come from. Remember, to this last Saturday, we had the election in Benue, we had the election in Akwa Ibom State, and the results are out already. Of course, in Benue, APC won all the chairmanship seats. In Akwa Ibom, there was some kind of diplomatic decision on the part of the governor, if you ask me. Akwa Ibom has 31 local government areas. PDP won 30. Then they gave APC, which is the local government of Senator Godswill Akpabio. APC won in his local government. So you could see.
Sorry, let me interrogate. Sorry, let me interrogate that. That what they gave, because when Evelyn was talking, said APP won 22, and then they gave, and then you are talking now. You said PDP won 30 in Akwa Ibom, and then they gave APC. What exactly? Who is giving what?
It is the Electoral Commission of the respect states. But it's not new. Remember, it's one of the reasons why a lot of us have been agitating for reforms to how local government elections are conducted in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Some of us have argued that INEC should actually conduct this election to give all political parties a level playing field. Because there is no way a state governor belonging to a party will organize local government elections, as far as Nigeria is concerned, and the party of the governor will not win. It's not possible. I've just given an example of three states I had local government election last Saturday. The parties of the governor won. in Akwa Ibom, they were considerate enough to allow Godswill Akpabio win his local government, which is a local government area in Akwa Ibom.
So you think that decision is calculated to just let Akpabio have his way?
Remember that the governor and the Senate president have been more friends, so to say. They've not seen each other as political enemies, so to say. So it will probably only natural that they allow the Senate president have his party win the local government, and particularly his own local government.
Yeah, there has been call, especially by the high-ranking guys, talking about the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, and he made a public call, very vocal, to say the duty of organizing local government elections should be taken away from all CX in the country and given to INEC for credibility to reign. And many persons will say, no, the state have that function to do that as well. But the issue of credibility has always been another thing, because people will say even gubernatorial and general elections, there are skirmishes, there are controversies, when even INEC goes the full throttle. We just had the election in where again
Edo
now?
State.
Recently, yeah, Edo State, and your guess is as good as mine with everything that went down there. So is it really about the CX doing the bidding, allegedly, of the state executive, of the governor in charge, or INEC having the trust of the people enough to say, oh, if it's INEC, then we can trust this credibility because some persons will not agree, or we just have a problem as a people that we just want to win at all costs as a people?
You see, now, we cannot fundamentally change the way we conduct elections in Nigeria if we do not fundamentally change the way political parties recruit leadership. It will never happen. I've monitored every election since 1999. I was part of the 1993 presidential election in Nigeria. If we do not fundamentally reform the way political parties
and what would
present their candidates.
What would that be? What reform are you talking about?
Now, what I mean is this. Now, you already know what happens in political parties. You have a godfather who almost single-handedly selects all candidates. Remember the case of Rivers State, where the former governor bought forms for all the candidates. Where does it happen in any same country? Where?
And it was even vocal. He didn't hide it.
Exactly. He didn't hide it. So if one man pays for the forms of all the contestants, then what happens? It's by your loyalty. So why don't we force political parties to also adopt electronic voting so that they have an electronic voter register, so that every member of the party, for as long as you pay your subscription, should be eligible to vote in the party's primary. Not in a hall. Then the leader of the party sits, then he begins to roll out the names of people he has endorsed for which position. You now see why there is a
All right, Leko, it seems we are having issues with the connection. Can you still hear us? Can you still hear me? All right, probably we'll try to reconnect with Olalekan Ige. It's the Nigerian factor. The network
I dare
issues.
disagree with that Nigerian factor, but you are not too far away from the truth. By the way, we'll take this quick break.
Yeah.
When we return around it off.